Welcome to the Shadow Signal, the frequency of the unknown. I'm Josh Rutledge.
And I'm Stephen Gearhart. Together we dive deep into high strangeness, UFOs, cryptids, the paranormal, psychic phenomenon, and the hidden truths that echo just beneath the surface.
Somewhere between reality and myth lies the signal. Can you hear it?
Tune in. The Shadow Signal is live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another fantastically spooky episode of The Shadow Signal. I am your host, Stephen Gearhart, joined as always by my spooky friend, Mr. Josh Rutledge. How are you this week, bud?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's starting to warm up here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And
that's scary.
For the first year since I've been here, it's not really bothering me. So,
good.
In fact, there are some days when it's like the highs in the 70s and everybody's cold. So,
yep. We've actually had a real spring in Kentucky this year. It didn't jump straight to summer like it did last year. We've had a lot of 60 and 70 degree days. Today was hot. I mean, it was 77 at 10 a.m. So it's going to be a warm one today.
So would it be like a 60, 70?
60, 70. We're old.
Yeah, that's all right. We take, our parents did the same. They took what we thought was cool. They started using it, and then it became not cool.
Yep. So keep using it.
We're just carrying on the flag of making things not cool.
That's right. Let me see. Anything else? Oh, I had a birthday recently. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm
another
excited
full rotation around the sun.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I love birthdays. It's like the one day a year you're allowed to celebrate yourself,
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Doesn't stop you from trying other days of the year.
No, not at all. My brother was like, "Happy birthday." I put it on our family chat because I know you like the attention. Also, big shout out to my little brother, Dustin, who lives in Belgium. He just had his second child yesterday, Sophie Elizabeth, and she is adorable.
Was he in labor very long?
He was in labor for 9.5 months.
Wow.
Yep. Months he was in labor.
Wow.
Yep. His wife, she was all right, though. She did good.
Yeah. Good to hear. Yeah, congratulations, Dustin. Second child. Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, well, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Before we get into our main topic and all that stuff, let's get into Psychic Word of the Week.
And now, the Psychic Word of the Week.
Psychic Word of the Week is brought to you by the Encyclopedic Psychic Dictionary by June G. Bletzer, PhD. That's Dr. Bletzer to you. Rest in peace, honey bear. I never met you, but I sure feel like I know you. So I flipped through the pages. I wanted to go towards the middle. I ended up on page 501, Josh. That's 6 if you add those bad boys together.
Isn't that also like that group of stormtrooper?
Oh, yeah, the 501st.
Yeah.
Yep, stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Yep. They always miss. So the phrase that I landed on this time is very interesting to all of us that listen. I think we've all experienced this. Is psychic experience during sleep. Psychic experience during sleep. It says to perceive an awareness employing any of the 5 psychic senses during sleep in between the REM state in a lower state of consciousness than the dream state. Experience is like any daytime psychic experience perceived in a vision, voice utterance, feelings, hunches, etc. Following characteristics distinguish it from a dream, however. First, it's easy to recall, leaving an impression on the sleeper, sometimes for years. 2, it's vivid, clear, even to details. 3, authenticity of each object to the time period of the scene. 4, comes during the lower alpha and theta state of sleep without paralysis of the body. So that's important, without paralysis. So sleep paralysis is not a part, something different. And number 5, to be interpreted as is or symbolically as any psychic message and not interpreted as a dream is interpreted. So it's kind of interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I always refer to that space as the space between sleep and awake.
There's the
Um,
space
yeah,
between
there you go.
those wicked eyes. Sorry.
Yeah, now we're gonna get not monetized for this episode. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Dave Matthews Band.
Anyways, no, but yeah, I've definitely had, and in fact, I think that some of my strongest like experiences are in that kind of in between state.
I'll have to agree. I think so too. You know, it's I almost wish Santosh was here to ask him if that would be the same as a meditative when you're in true meditation mode, like in that
Yeah.
trance state. You know,
Well,
is that considered?
and what's really interesting to me is the call out around sleep or sleep paralysis because, um, I've done about half of the Gateway Experience by Robert Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone up to the point where I've kind of programmed some states into my body, mainly in Connecticut and Iowa. And oh man, I'm totally just dry on the humor today. Anyways, but when I go into those, like when I employ those states to before going to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
my body goes into a sleep paralysis type
Right.
state where it's like it becomes completely dormant in a sleep, but my mind
Right.
is fully active and awake. And then I try to slip into that in between state on purpose.
Yeah.
But for me, sleep paralysis is not a negative. It's
Well,
a
see, I
it's a
would say it's not sleep paralysis because in sleep paralysis, you can't move. I think in the state you're in, if you chose to move, you could move.
yeah.
I would say it's more like a hypnotic state because
Okay.
when you're in hypnosis, if you really wanted to move, you could.
Yeah. Or like a
You're just
trance
being
state,
suggested
maybe.
not to. Yeah. I think, yeah. I just think so. I just know sleep paralysis, you can't move. Like your
Okay.
body, you have no control over your body. It is just dead to the world.
Hmm.
Whereas in this state, I think if you wanted to move, you could move.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I am no doctor. I'm no Dr. Junji Blitzer.
Yeah. We'll have to see if we can get her on the Ouija board sometime and get some
I
answers to
know.
some of these
Yeah, that's a good
questions.
idea. Yeah, because we have a bunch,
It's a
Junji.
question. Yeah, a bunch of questions. Um, but no, I mean it's a fascinating. Not to drag this out too far, but I mean and it's relevant for me because
Mhm.
just before starting to record this, I had a conversation with my wife about sleep paralysis. So it's ironic that
Yeah.
it came up.
Yeah.
So very very cool. Thank you for that,
Yeah.
Stefan.
Yeah, no problem. All right, well, let's move on. I think I'm not sure if you have one, but I know I have one. Let's move into interrupted transmissions.
Interrupted transmissions.
All right, so interrupted transmissions. This is where we kind of talk about, things that have happened to us that are spooky or weird, or
Yeah.
things since the last time we talked. So I had a really interesting dream. I was at a family reunion, and everyone was the age they are now. So that means people that had passed weren't there.
Yeah.
And at one point, I look over, and sitting on a chair is my grandmother, who had passed a long time ago. And I miss her more than anybody. And she was there. And I was like, guys, do you guys see grandma? And everybody's like, grandma's not here. And she's like, no, I'm only here for you. You're the only one that can see me. And like, I knew she was a ghost. And she was just being goofy and funny and gave me this big old hug and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, I'm here. I want to see everybody, but I really just wanted to let you know that I miss you. And then I was crying because I was like, I miss you so much.
Yeah.
I've got so much going on. I wish you could have met Hazel. And she's like, of course, I see her every day. Just all kinds of stuff like that. And she was acting goofy and just like she always used to. And it just, I don't know. It meant the world to me when I woke up. So
do you watch so first of all, it's very cool. Very cool. In relation to that, do you watch the US version of Ghosts?
yes, I watch them both.
So this character Sass, his ghost
Yeah.
power is that he can go
Yeah.
into your dreams.
Yeah.
I wonder if your grandma has a ghost power where she can go into your dreams.
That'd be cool. That's the first time I I mean, it's not the first time I've dreamed about her, but it's the first
Yeah.
time
You've interacted with her.
interacted like that, where she was like, "Yeah, I'm a ghost."
Yeah. Pretty
You know?
cool.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Did you, when you woke up from it, did you, kind of retain any type of emotional feelings from it, other than
Yeah,
obviously probably a longing for her? But
yeah, I did. I felt good, and I felt not as guilty for having Hazel so late in life. So
yeah, very good. So a little bit of healing there too.
yeah, a little bit.
Cool. Well, I also had something occurred to me or happened to me a few nights ago, like maybe 5 or so nights ago.
Yeah,
I was had tuned into Dave Scott's Spaced Out Radio. There was a guy on there talking about his interactions with NHI,
yeah,
and it's hard for me. This is probably like something I should talk to a therapist about, but it's hard for me to listen to other people's accounts of their experiences with the phenomena and not put on my investigator hat.
sure.
So, but I was listening to this guy and I was like, yeah, you're looking at stuff. It's close to sunset. Yeah, they could be satellites. Like I was kind of dismissive, right? And
Hmm.
so I stayed and listened for about 30 minutes or so, and then I disconnected and decided I was going to go to bed. So I walked outside with my dog Luna, look at the stars before I go to bed, which I try to do just about every night.
Yeah,
Um, and as I was standing there just kind of looking at the stars, I was still thinking about this guy and his experiences and just kind of being dismissive. And it's funny because I even saw some satellites in the sky. I was like, oh, those are clearly satellites. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw this flash of light. Now, sometimes, like in the edge of my glasses, I pick
yeah,
up light that's behind me.
sure. I do too. Yeah.
And so sometimes I just dismiss it. But this time I snapped my head to the direction and I was like, okay, if that was lit, if that was real, do it again. And it did it again. And then it did it a lot more times. And it was just kind of zipping all around the sky in this one area. And then, right around the time that I was like, it's probably just a plane with a strobe, it turned green and it did the
Mm.
same activity. Almost like to say, haha, I see you being skeptical about me, so I'm going to make it, like I've never seen a plane's white strobe turn into a green strobe. Um, but it was very erratic in its movement, just zipping around the sky. And I tried to film it with my camera on my phone, but
Sure.
I couldn't really see what I was filming because I was standing there in the dark. So I haven't gone back to review it, but I don't think I actually got anything. So I was like, well, I'm gonna run inside and get my night vision real quick. But by the time I got that and got back outside, it had,
It's
you know,
gone. Yeah, of
it was
course.
done playing around. So I stood there and kind of filmed the night sky a little bit more with my night vision just to see if it decided to come back. But no, that was it. So ultimately, I decided to go inside, lock everything up and go to bed. So was laying in bed, went to sleep, woke up, was awoken in the middle of the night sometime because my dog Luna was howling, which
Mm.
is something she never has done. Like
Yeah.
we've had her for almost 4 years, she has never howled, but she was howling, and it woke both Kristen and I up. I rolled over, she rolled over. I said something to her like, I was like, is Luna howling? And she was like half awake, half asleep, in that in between state. And she
Right.
just kind of was like, what? And I was like, and I mumbled something else. And then we both tried to go back to sleep. Well, I was laying there just about to fall back asleep. I heard, not, this is not like a clairaudient thing. Like I heard with my actual ears the sounds of like a clicking noise from in my room.
Mm.
And it was like that clicking that you hear in the movie Signs where they like hold the baby
Right.
monitor up, like the entities are talking or whatever. And what I was really proud of myself for is controlling my fear response because
Yeah.
I shut it down. I did not feel or allow myself to be afraid. I just laid there and listened. But this time, because I wasn't afraid, I also opened my mind to reach out to anything that might be in the room.
Mm.
And I got a sense of just love, and it like this like and then this overwhelming, like the movie, one of my favorite movies, and this, is Dark City.
Yeah, me too.
And in the movie they go sleep and people would just fall asleep, and that's what I kind of heard in my mind, is like, just sleep, and then I just fell back asleep. But I mean, I woke up with
Yeah,
vividly remembering all of this stuff.
that's fantastic.
So yeah, that was I maybe I had an alien. Maybe whatever was interacting with me in the sky decided to come down and pay me a physical visit. I don't know.
Maybe the
But
clicking is becoming popular. I mean, that Disclosure movie looks like it's going to have a lot of the clicking
yeah,
language. So,
and that's not the first time that I've heard that clicking kind of
yeah,
stuff before. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the extent. I've had a few other things here and there, nothing to
sure.
write home about. But that was a big one that was like that stuck
Yeah,
with me.
that's fantastic, Josh. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if that's all the news of interrupted transmissions we've got, then let's go ahead and move on to our main topic.
The main story.
Our main topic is exciting this week,
Yeah.
Josh. It's Tales
So,
from Disclosure. Why are we calling it Tales from Disclosure?
well, so in case you haven't seen, the US government just released like 158 files on the Department of War website, war.gov/UFO, if you want to go check them out.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what's in there has been released in other ways in the
Yeah.
past. But when I was going through the documents to see what was there, I came across there's like a 10 or 11 different groupings of documents that contain letters that people, like when the UFO phenomenon was just kind of ramping up in the US,
Yeah.
that contain letters from people that they wrote to the FBI or just to the Department of State or whatever. And I thought it would be really fun to read through some of these experiences that people were
That's
having
great.
early on in, kind of
Yeah.
the UFO
Before they got swayed.
outbreak, before they got swamped. And this is before satellites were in the sky. Like it to me, these accounts hold much more weight than the accounts of today, because there's less that they could have been explained away with,
Right.
right? Because there was just less stuff generally in the sky, kind of like the airships thing of the late 1800s. There's not as much going on in the sky that you could say, well, that could be blah blah blah, unless you're J. Allen Hynek, and you can say it's swamp gas or
Right.
the light reflecting off of Venus.
Yeah, like what's that really famous one? Is it called like the Black Knight satellite or something?
Yeah.
Was that's a
Yeah.
really famous one
Yep.
that was there before satellites.
Right. And that's, it's possible that that's some sort of debris from an
Sure.
asteroid or whatever floating around. Sure. But it's obviously, most of the time, that stuff is not reflective. So,
Right.
yeah. Anyways, so I just thought it'd be fun to go through. I've got about 6 or so pulled up here that we can talk through that are kind of various times.
Yeah, let's hit it.
And full of a lot of great information.
Cool.
All right. So, kicking things off, I thought it would be fun because everybody knows the Kenneth Arnold experience. And for those that don't know, just briefly, Kenneth Arnold was really the guy who coined the phrase flying saucer.
Yeah.
He was in Washington, and he was flying his little plane in Washington, and something like reflected light on his face, and he looked down to see these white objects flying over, I think it was Mount Rainier in Washington. And at some point during the interview process, when he was telling the news media about it, he said that they were like saucers skipping across water.
Right.
And so that's where the term flying saucer came from. Which, like, going back to our conversation around Mothman not really being described as being like a moth.
Right. As a moth,
And,
right.
like how many how many potential UFO reports are dubbed flying saucer when they don't have a saucer shape? Like,
Sure.
having that common term in our language is probably a little bit of like, um, it hinders us in really understanding the phenomenon because we automatically, when you say flying saucer, people think disc.
Right. I do.
But, in Kenneth Arnold's case, it wasn't a disc. So, anyways, so this is from Portland, Oregon, August 20th, 1947. Um, and it was written it was written by um, a individual who was a prospector at the time of the Kenneth Arnold incident. It says, "Sir, saw in the Portland paper a short time ago in regards to an article to the so-called flying disc having any basis of fact. I can say am a prospector and was in something Adams District. I can't make out it's typed. On June 24th, the day Kenneth Arnold of Boise, Idaho, claims to see a formation of flying disc. And I saw the same flying objects at about the same time. Having a telescope with me at the time, I can assure you they are real and nothing like them I ever saw before. They did not pass very high over where I was standing at the time, probably 1,000 feet. They were round, about 30 feet in diameter, tapering sharply to a point in the head in an oval shape with a bright top surface. I did not hear any noise, as you would from a plane, but there was an object in the tail end that looked like a big hand of a block shifting from side to side like a big magnet. Their speed, as far as I know, seemed to be greater than anything I ever saw. Last view I got of the objects, they were standing on edge, banking in a cloud. Yours respectively, S.F.M. Johnson, Portland, Oregon."
Shoo. I'd never
So,
heard that. Yeah, that's crazy that there was
yeah,
somebody backing up his
Kenneth
claims.
Arnold's claim
Yeah.
from the ground. Yeah, I mean that's pretty. I mean, if this should be anytime somebody now talks about the Kenneth Arnold case, they should include this if they don't
I
already.
agree. Yep.
So, all right. So let's go look at one from 1958, April 17th, 1958,
Nice.
from Mr. Robert Reynolds in Detroit.
Motor City, baby.
Says DeCosta, that's a street name, 15801 DeCosta, Detroit, Michigan. Provided his telephone number, which was only 5 digits long. So I thought that's always fun to see.
Don't call them.
Yeah.
It was a party line.
I also like the word usage here. This just goes back to a time when words were different, but
Yeah.
it says that this person telephonically advised this office.
I like that.
Yeah. At 4:08 a.m. today, that he had just seen an object in the sky described as a circular object with a crystal-type dome that reflected lights. He said this object was passing in a northern direction from southwest and crossed the city 3 blocks south of 6 Mile at Lamphere Street. He advised that he attempted to call Selfridge Field to get in touch with the Air Force, but his attempts were unproductive. He then called the office to furnish the above information. The gentleman said he was 23 years of age. He was the son of a Detroit policeman, and that he had previous experience with the Civil Air Patrol. However, he was not too familiar with the identification of aircraft. He stated he was on his way home from his employment in Detroit when he observed instant object.
Interesting. So Southwest, that's Toledo. That's my hometown.
Yeah.
Could have been coming from totally due.
I mean, maybe Chrysler was flying a drone over the General Motors plant to try
in
to
58.
see, what they were doing. I'm sure that's what it was.
Yeah.
Also, what's really interesting, I think, this kind of goes back to the fact that so much of this information has already been made available. This particular if sheet was declassified in 2007.
Ah,
So,
thanks.
yep. Thanks for nothing. All right. Looking here now to another one in Detroit. This is in November 7th, 1957.
So before that one. Okay.
Yep. Um, so this is in response to a letter directed to Mr. Robert Cutler, Special Assistant to President Dwight D. Eisenhower, reflecting that he might have some information about the rocket in Texas. Um, he was interviewed on November 7th, 1957, and furnished the following information. Krasuski was brought from Poland as a prisoner of war to Gut Alt Coliseum, approximately 30 miles east of Berlin, Germany, in May 1942, where he remained until a few weeks after the end of World War II. He spent the following years at displaced persons camps at Cork, Strasbourg, Offenburg, Mittelheim, and Friedberg, Germany. He attended a radio technician school at Friedberg and for about a year was employed in a textile mill at Lurachenbaden, Germany.
Hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I'm pretty good with, I mean, I took 1 year German, so,
There you go. Rock and
Um,
bottom.
he arrived in the United States at New York, May 2nd, 1951, via the SS General Stuart. As a displaced person, destined to the Reverend Father Petro Walowiak, Hamtramck, Michigan. Um, this is funny. His alien registration number was, they blocked that out, but just the fact that he was given an alien registration number. You know. So since May 1951, he has been employed at the Goebel Brewery in Detroit. News report of a mysterious vehicle in Texas causing engines to stall prompted him to communicate with the United States government concerning a similar phenomenon observed by him in 1944 in the area of Gut Alt Gulsman. According to Krasowski, during 1944, month not recalled, while en route to work in a field a short distance north of Gulsman, their tractor engine stalled on a road through a swamp area. No
Swamp
machinery.
gas.
Yep, that's what it is. No machinery or other vehicle was then visible, although a noise was heard described as a high-pitched whine, similar to that produced by a large electric generator. An SS guard appeared and talked briefly with the German driver of the tractor, who waited 5 to 10 minutes, after which the noise stopped and the tractor engine was started normally. Approximately 3 hours later, in the same swamp area but away from the road where the work crew was cutting hay, for some reason hay is in quotes there. Is it they were cutting something else and hay is
Right.
but anyways, he surreptitiously, because of the German in charge of the crew and SS guards in the otherwise deserted area, observed a circular enclosure approximately 100 to 150 yards in diameter, protected from viewers by a tarpaulin type wall approximately 50 feet high, from which a vehicle was observed to slowly rise vertically to a height sufficient to clear the wall and then to move slowly horizontally a short distance out of his view, which was obstructed by nearby trees.
Yeah.
This vehicle, observed from approximately 500 feet, was described as circular in shape, 75 to 100 yards in diameter, and about 14 feet high, consisting of dark gray stationary top and bottom sections, 5 to 6 feet high. The approximate 3-foot middle section appeared to be rapidly moving component producing a continuous blur, similar to an aeroplane propeller, but extending the circumference of the vehicle so far as could be observed. The noise emanating from the vehicle was similar but of somewhat lower pitch than the noise previously heard. The engine of the tractor again stalled on this occasion, and no effort was made by the German driver to start the engine until the noise stopped, after which the engine started normally. Uninsulated metal, possibly copper cables 1.5 inch to 2 inches in diameter, on the under of the surface of the ground, in some places covered by water, were observed on this and previous occasions, apparently running between the enclosure and a small concrete column-like structure between the road and the enclosure. This area was not visited by Krasowski, and again until shortly after the end of World War II, when it was observed the cables had been removed and the previous locations of the concrete structure and the enclosure were covered by water. Krasowski stated he has not been in communication since 1945 with any of the work crew of the 16 or 18 men consisting of Russian, French, and Polish POWs, who had discussed this incident amongst themselves many times. However, of these, Krasowski was able to recall by name only Franciszek Grabowski, no address known, described as then about 50 years of age, and presumed by Krasowski to have returned to Poland after 1945.
Wow.
So basically, to summarize, this guy is working on a POW camp. Tractor stalls when they hear a loud noise. Sometime later, tractor is able to be restarted. Then, sometime later after that, they observe this odd dome-shaped area off in the swamp, and a circular craft rises up from this dome-shaped area and then flies away. And all along the ground, underneath the water and the dirt, are copper cables running outward from this crystal dome-shaped facility, as if it's some sort of like a launching pad, and they need to draw the current from the ground or something around it. Yeah,
which is crazy. I mean, that's an old thing that you don't hear much about anymore. It's like cars stalling.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's just because cars work differently than they used to, but
well,
that was
it's something
cars
that
and machines.
Yeah, it's something that I talk about, like in my presentation that I've done for MUFON and the Convergence Enigma, where I talk about my kind of theory around EMF. I use the fact that we don't hear about cars stalling anymore, and the reason for a car to stall from an EM perspective would be that it stops the firings of the spark plugs. So you're not igniting the gas, so that causes the engine to stall out. But our cars are much more electronically dependent now than they were then. So you would think you would hear about stall outs more. But I was also talking to somebody recently about the fact that, when's the last time that you recall hearing about a case where people actually saw the craft up close?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Like, it's probably the early 80s, late 70s. Like this Ronnie Zamora case, or, Travis Walton. And so maybe it's a matter of proximity. The craft don't get close enough to cause the engines to stall. Which, for me, I draw, for me, a possible conclusion is that the drivers of these craft realize that their craft cause us physiological harm,
right?
And so they stay far enough away so as to not cause that harm, but to still operate with whatever they have to do. Go get groceries or whatever, taking their kids to day camp or whatever they're doing. So
yeah, taking their kids to day camp more than likely. But yeah, how nice of them. How nice of them.
Yeah, I mean, the insectoid species, they probably lay 3,000 eggs a year, something like that. That's a lot of kids to shuttle around.
That's a lot of kids. It is.
Yeah,
it is. But thinking of the craft there, I mean, it's like it makes you wonder: is that an alien craft, or is it that Bell craft that the Nazis had, quote, been working on?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody else the other day about the Nazi craft, and my opinion, and this is like my grandfather used to say, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one.
Yep.
But my opinion is that uh, most of what I've heard described about UFOs and what I've experienced and witnessed myself about UFOs is that they employ a level of physics that we don't understand yet.
For sure.
And the likelihood that we would have been able to figure out that level of physics, I think, is small. So I think that more than likely, if the Nazis had UFOs, it was because they found them or they crashed.
Okay.
It was a crash retrieval situation, right?
Sure.
And they might have figured out how to turn it on, but and maybe even how to fly it. But I don't think that humans have reached the intelligence level to be able to design what we experience as UFOs.
Sure.
I just don't think we
You
have.
completely everything would be reverse engineered,
Yeah.
so to speak.
I mean, yeah, if we found a crash when they could do all these things, then we could reverse engineer things, right? We can invent Velcro and the capacitor and microchip and all of that kind of stuff. But whether or not we could actually create things that requires us to think about physics in a whole new way, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So, all right, moving on. This is kind of a really short one. This is Western Union that was sent to the U.S. Department of Justice on July 6th, 1947.
This man sent a telegram.
Yep. This was, it says, should I say the stop? I don't know this, but
Yeah.
about 12 so-called flying discs passed over Darlington, South Carolina, approximately 5:30 p.m. today. Advise if wish details. J.U. Watts Jr.
He's like, hey, this is what's going on. Y'all know what's going on. What should I do?
Yeah. This is like, like you said, it's, well, Western Union telegrams, you can only send so much anyway. It's not like you can send a
Yeah.
paragraph. So
Yeah.
it's like when
It
I
was
was,
basically an email. I mean, that was the
when I was in college, first time around at Campbellsville University in Kentucky, um, which I did not get a degree from because we had a falling out. But they didn't see things my way.
Right.
So when I was there, though, I didn't have a lot of money, and my family would give me. This is, of course, before the time of cell phones,
yeah.
or right around the time when cell phones were.
It was right around the time.
And so my family would give me calling cards, but I would run out of minutes and stuff.
Yeah,
so
same.
I would call my family collect, and in the part where you would record your name, I would just say, "Hey, this is Josh. Everything is fine. You don't have to accept this." And then sometimes they would accept it and talk to me, and sometimes they would not. And then they would just get the little brief update message, as my
Right.
recorded, message
Yeah.
instead of my name. So to me, that's kind of like what this is. It's like, I'm going to send you this little snippet, and if you want to know more, accept the charges.
Yeah, it's a tease. It's a tease almost. But he's also like, I don't know what to do. Because he saw several.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, see, the one thing I wish we had in this bit of disclosure here is follow-ups. Did they follow up with this guy? Was there an interview?
Sometimes in some of these it does include if they if the government responded, if they sent a letter back.
Yeah.
But it doesn't often include, like, if they sent a letter back and then the person responded to that letter, like, it doesn't include that additional detail.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing I'll say is throughout these files, there are references made by people to enclosed photographs, but none of those photographs were included in the drop.
Of course.
So, moving on, we've got August 13, 1947. This is in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Ah, good old Hackensack.
Now, what's amazing is I know where this is because my wife works for a company that's based in Hackensack.
Nice.
All right, so this is kind of a long account. It has a couple of corroborating witnesses and things in it. Um, this is a part of an interview that was conducted by the field office for the FBI. Um, and so it says here Charles Casilla Jr. Gives his address in Hackensack. Upon interview by Special Agent Arthur F. Williams, excuse me, of this division, stated that on August 3rd, sorry, the event was on August 3rd. The letter is dated August 13th. August 3rd, he had been standing with William Truex. True, it's probably not, the X is probably silent. So, like Truey, I don't know.
Yeah,
A
true.
soldier stationed at Fort Dix observed a ham radio rig atop a two-story house in Simons Avenue, Hackensack. It was approximately 7:45 p.m., and they were in this vicinity for the purpose of meeting Truex's girlfriend, one Joyce McFarland. Any relation to Seth MacFarlane? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's where Seth got his idea.
Yeah.
Anyways, Truex commented to Casilla that a child had apparently lost its balloon. Casilla looked in about a block or a half block away, noticed a round black object moving from south to north and east of the stop where he and Truex were standing. Casilla noticed that it was moving too fast to be an ordinary balloon, but he could not discern whether it was globular in form or a disc. He said it was about 30 to 40 inches in diameter, moving north in a horizontal plane about 200 yards above the top of the hill at Summit Avenue and Simons Avenue. It proceeded at a steady rate, emitted no rays, and was moving fast enough to require them to turn their heads steadily in order to follow it. Truex's girlfriend came out about 15 seconds after they first sighted it. They pointed it out to her, and she said that it looked like a bird on the horizon, so small. It faded out of sight shortly thereafter. Casilla said that a line drawn along its apparent course of flight would go from the vicinity of Bendix, New Jersey, to a point west of Westwood, New Jersey. Casilla also said that a man on the porch across the street also noticed it and pointed it out to the woman. Casilla said that this man seemed excited but did nothing about it. I mean, that's how many of us have seen something and you just can't take your eyes off of it.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, you're like, oh, okay. I saw a UFO. You know, like there's just
Yeah.
like this, all of a sudden, this weird melancholy about it. Casilla said that he was positive it was no optical illusion. He was not facing into the sun and saw the object clearly. He also said that he would have thought nothing of it except for the speed at which it was traveling. Miss Joyce McFarland, if you recall, this is the girlfriend, gave her address. Upon interview by Special Agent Williams, stated that the event in question occurred at about 7:30 on the evening of Sunday, August 3rd. She said that she was in the house when Casilla and Truex called to her. She went out immediately and they pointed out the object in question. She saw it just before it disappeared over the horizon, but she declared it was in view from that time for approximately 1 minute. She said it was round and silver blue in color and appeared to be revolving. She said that she did not recall making any comment that it might have been a bird and herself had no idea of what it could be. In view of the distance from which she noticed it, she said that it could not have been more than 6 inches in diameter, but would have been much larger, she said, if she had been near to it. Miss McFarland said that she had never seen anything like it before. She said that across the street, the Booths, a mother and daughter, were the only people sitting on the porch, and she herself did not notice anyone pointing toward the object in question. The only other person around to her knowledge was Gloria Truex, sister of William Truex, who remained in the house and did not see the object at all. Miss Winfield Booth, address provided, stated that she was on the porch of the evening in question with her mother, but did not notice any unusual object in the sky, nor had any man been present there to point out the object in question. So that's interesting. We've got two people saying there was no man, and two people saying there was a man. Was it a ghost? Was it a man in black?
Right.
I mean,
Who
who knows?
knows?
The following information was received from Truex through interview by Special Agent T. Howard Waldron. Private William A. Truex, Company G, 2nd Battalion, 47th Infantry Regiment, 9th Division, Fort Dix, New Jersey. Advised he was born April 12th, 1930, in Jersey City, New Jersey, and completed eight and a half years of school. Wow. He was an early graduate. He
Yeah.
enlisted in the United States Army on May 29th, 1947. His mother is Miss Bergen County, New Jersey. Stated that on August 3rd, 1947, at 8 p.m., he was standing outside the home of his girlfriend, Miss Joyce McFarland, in New Jersey, accompanied by Charles Casilla of 287 Euclid Avenue, Hackensack, New Jersey, who was his sister's fiance. He said that he and Casilla were looking at the radio antenna on a home near the address, and they noticed an object about 2 to 3 feet in diameter. So now we've got all different varying,
Yeah.
sizes, rapidly moving about 200 yards off the ground. Shrek said he thought at first it was a child's balloon, but then he noticed there was no wind and the object had no strings to it. Ain't no strings on me. He decided it was something else. He stated the object was moving in a steady straight path going north, and he said there was no exhaust or indication of any motive power for the object. Schrick said they observed the object for 15 to 20 seconds. He could not give a description of the object's color or material it was composed of, but said it looked more like a large, flat child's cup than anything else he could think of. So kind of bell shaped, if you
Yeah.
will.
Right.
Let's see, the child's cup. He said that it was kind of oval on the top and came out to a point on the bottom side. Trek said that Casilla stated maybe it's a flying saucer. He said he had never seen anything move through the air quite like this object, and he had no idea where it came from. Trek stated that neither he nor Casilla had anything to drink, and there was sufficient light for them to observe the object very clearly. The flying disc was reported by Casilla to Sergeant James Perrone of the Hackensack Police Department. Sergeant Perrone advised the writer that his department had taken no further action, nor had they received reports of the object in question from any other source. It may be noted that no other police department in the vicinity was brought to the attention of this division, or any information regarding this matter.
Wow.
So, what we got there, 4 different witnesses,
Right.
each, or really 3 different witnesses, the mother and daughter on the porch, so they didn't see anything. And all they really provided was contradictory statements around the potential
Sure.
excited man who was pointing at it too. But yeah, I mean, this, as an investigator, this is where it gets difficult when you have groups of people providing eyewitness testimony. And I don't think it's necessarily because anybody's trying to deceive anybody. It's just we all experience and perceive things differently
Differently.
when we have those experiences. You and I have
Yep.
talked about it sometimes, even when it's like a paranormal experience, like a ghost. You might see it as an old man, and I might see it as a little girl. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I think things sometimes appear to people differently. So,
Yep. I agree. I agree. Especially something like that. I mean,
yeah,
we've come to believe that much of the phenomena is psychic related.
yeah, yeah.
Even alien encounters and things like that. There's a mind bit. So
All right, so I've got one more for everybody.
okay.
All right, and then we'll wrap things up. So this is from Portland, Oregon, September 13th, 1947.
So we started with Portland and we wrap up with
We're
Portland.
wrap up with
There we
Portland.
go. What's the date on that again?
September 13th, 1947.
Nice.
There are some records in here, by the way, that like I didn't pull out to read today, but that predate even World War II.
Wow.
That people were seeing things and reporting them. So, like, I think sometimes Kenneth Arnold's account was reported as being the first,
Right.
major UFO sighting, but I don't think that's the case. I
Mhm.
mean, even prior to Kenneth Arnold's account, there was one in Phoenix, Arizona, where somebody observed or even photographed something. So,
Yeah.
um, Sorry, Kenneth Arnold, you are not the first, just like Christopher Columbus did not discover the New World.
Right.
So, anyways, records of a radio dispatcher at Portland Police Department reflect the first notice of unidentified objects in flight over the city on September 11th, 1947, was received from officers in District 18, which is an extreme northeast section of the city, at 5:21 p.m. The log further reflects that at 5:23 p.m., the radio requested District 14, which is further south, to attempt to locate and identify the objects. That at 5:24 p.m., a report was received from the car occupied by Chief of Police Jenkins, reporting that they had sighted
Chief Jenkins.
some objects. District 14 at 5:27 p.m. reported seeing nothing unusual in the sky. Robert Adair, address provided, Portland, advised that he was one of the two officers on duty in District 18 on September 11th. The car was in the vicinity of Northeast 25th Avenue and Saratoga Court when Adair and his fellow officer noticed a number of people looking upward and pointing. Upon looking at the sky, Adair observed a very bright reflection of the sun on some object which was apparently made of a silvery metal. The object was coming from the east and made a wide turn over the city and disappeared to the south. Adair estimated its speed to be about 150 miles per hour and its altitude at about 5,000 feet. He watched it for a period of about 2 minutes, and during that time, it gradually disappeared in such a manner as to appear that the angle was slowly changing, so that the sun was no longer reflecting into Adair's eyes. He says that the shape appeared to be round, but that the glare was so bright that it could have been hidden the true outline of the object. There was no oscillation visible, only steady flight. Adair believes it was an ordinary metal airplane reflecting light of the afternoon sun. Then we have J.R. Caldwell, Portland, Oregon, was Adair's partner in District 18. States the object appeared to him to take the same course as that described by Adair. He pointed out that the speed, height, and size of the object were difficult to judge because of the interdependence of these three factors. However, he believes that the object, when first sighted, was about 3 miles away and about 2 miles high. That's a lot different than 5,000 feet. Yeah. He believes it was traveling at a much greater speed than a conventional airplane and was a great deal larger. It appeared to him to be elliptical in shape, and insomuch as it did not bank or tip, he could not judge its thickness. It was very bright silver or aluminum substance. Then it goes on to talk about the chief of police, Mr. Jenkins, advised that he was traveling south on North Williams Avenue near Russell Street when he and Officer Rainey, his driver, received a call on the police radio requesting District 14 to attempt to observe an unknown object in the sky reported by officers in District 18. Jenkins observed what appeared to be a round silver object about 10,000 feet high, so that's about 2 miles, so that's closer to the second officer.
Closer to the second one.
Traveling northeast to southwest. It was directly to Jenkins' left when observed first. He thought it was a weather balloon. Further observation convinced him that it could not be a balloon because its speed, which was extremely great. As Jenkins watched, it turned gradually until it was traveling due south. And as it did, its shape seemed to change until it appeared to be egg-shaped. Here we got an egg-shaped egg-shaped craft. There
like,
you go.
Kecksburg.
Some vindication. Jake Barber.
Yep.
Jake Barber said he did a recovery of egg-shaped craft.
And the Kecksburg.
Kecksburg
craft.
is often described as an acorn, but I mean I could see
egg. Yeah.
And we got Patrolman Rainey, which, if you recall, he was the driver of the chief, Chief Jenkins. It was straight ahead of him, traveling straight away from his car. Rainey was driving south on North Williams Avenue. To Rainey, it appeared to be just a glare of sun on some object. He was unable, therefore, to tell its shape. It appeared to be very high and traveling extremely fast. It was out of sight after he had traveled 4 to 5 city blocks at a speed of about 25 miles per hour. Rainey stated that he has never seen an object at such extreme height before, and that if the sun had not reflected from it, he could not have seen it at all. He
Hmm.
believes it could possibly have been a reflection from a large airplane at great altitude. Um, and we've got, let's see, Shaler. Portland stated that he was on duty in District 14 with Officer Donald Cowling on September 11th, 1947. He and received the call to watch the object flying over the city. Shaler and Cowling immediately scanned the sky from a vantage point in open territory where they could see the entire sky. They saw nothing in the sky at that time.
Hmm.
Shaler stating that they did not even see any airplanes. A short article in the Oregonian, Portland daily newspaper, for September 12th, 1947, describes the object as seen by Chief Police Jenkins, and also states that the Oregonian received several calls from other persons reporting the object.
I was wondering if other people saw that. And it's 47. They know what airplanes look like and sound like. No
Well,
one's going to be excited about
and at that, at that time, like, I don't know, I probably need to look it up real quick. But at that time, I don't think we were really flying 2 miles high in airplanes in 1947.
I don't know.
Let me look that up real quick. Out, because I'm just interested.
Yeah, I don't know. I love that these guys were brave enough to call it in and say, "Hey, get out and look," and that even Chief Jenkins was able to see it.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, the X1, the Bell X1, which was orange and would never be confused with the silvery thing, it flew at 71,000 feet. But it was an experimental plane
right,
designed to break, the sound barrier.
right.
Um, I don't know what other planes, anybody who's listening who may be an aviator or an aviation, enthusiast, were there planes in September 1947 that would have been, metallic or silvery in color that would have been able to fly, roughly 150 miles an hour at, let's say 2 miles up.
Okay, so this says I looked up says how high did passenger planes fly in 1947, and it says most commercial flights operated at altitudes between 8,000 and 12,000 feet.
So that's higher than
Uh,
2 miles.
yeah, and the Boeing 377 Stratocruiser, a popular aircraft of the time, could fly up to 20,000 feet.
But like you say, I feel like people would have
Yeah,
known what aircraft looked like.
exactly. At that point, they're very familiar with aircraft. You
Now,
know,
people in our current age don't really know what aircraft look like in the sky because they've been nonstop staring at their phone screens
right,
for all their life, and they never really look up to see what is in the sky. And so then
right,
when they finally do, we get the New Jersey drone scare. Um,
right.
so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I again, I like these older uh,
Counts.
accounts because there's just not as much that they could be discounted as. So,
Yeah, I like
and
it. I
that's
like it too.
so like I said, that's six. There's way more. So, we
Yeah,
might do a
yeah.
revisit of this at some point, read some other
Yeah, this was
accounts.
very, very cool. In fact, and if some of you out there have read more of these, let us know in the comments what your favorite one was. We'd love to look it up and read it too.
Yeah,
So,
and I'll tell you one that I couldn't, when I was scanning the documents of the day, and I couldn't find it to read today, because there's, like each file contains, on average 30 pages, and there are
yeah,
158 files. Now, some of those are videos and pictures and stuff, but still, let's say 100 of those. So, I couldn't readily get back to it for today's episode, but I'll say it's very interesting because a woman wrote in to the FBI because she went out, to her field. She had a farm. It was a
hmm,
mile away from the road, and there was singed areas in the clover, and she said that metal had dripped onto the field. If you recall, like, metal
yeah,
dripping is a common thing, especially in the earlier UFO sightings.
yeah,
And so she went out and she actually was able to get some of the metal drippings because they had hardened or solidified.
Yeah.
And she said it kind of looked like tinsel, like you would put on a Christmas tree. But she
Interesting.
collected a bunch of it and she sent it to the FBI.
Ah,
So somewhere the FBI has UFO drippings
yeah.
in a file box.
Hidden
Again,
away.
like to me, that's like the stuff. Like the stories are great. The
Yeah.
stories are great. But if you're not going to include the pictures, or like if you did analysis on these UFO drippings that this person sent in, like
Yeah.
why not include what analysis you like? What did you find? And the reason that they, the conspiracy theorist in me says the reason they haven't released any of that stuff is because that stuff is conclusive. Like it
Yeah.
tells more of the story than what just these accounts tell. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'd also be interested in anybody who's listening or watching this on YouTube. Have you ever seen a UFO dripping, dripping the metal or whatever, the lava? Sometimes it's described as dripping lava. And what do you think it is?
Yeah.
Maybe it's their waste.
Ooh, maybe. Yeah.
Like maybe it's some sort of byproduct of their energy system.
Right. Or maybe they're, yeah, that when it interacts with oxygen or something.
Yeah, I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? It's alien tech, right?
Yep.
They got to get their alien registration number though.
They do. They do. Well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun. They can look up these files again at war.gov/UFO. Is that
Yep.
correct? All right. So very interesting. Check it out. Have some fun with it. Like we've had fun with it. Watch the videos, look at the pictures, read the files. Let us know what you think in the comments. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Next month is the Disclosure movies coming out, right?
Yeah.
The Steven Spielberg movie. I think
Steven
we're all looking forward
Spielberg.
to
It's
that.
going to be. I think
So,
it's going to be great. I mean,
yeah, I think it's gonna
anybody
be
who
good
is a
too.
UFO experiencer, grab all of your friends who think that you're bonkers and go see that movie,
Yep.
because maybe they'll leave having a new respect for where you are at.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Shadow Signal. This has been Stefan reminding you to stay in the shadows and listen for the signal.
This has been Josh. The truth is now.
Good night, folks. Have a good one. We'll see you next month.
Good night.